Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of the Open Conversations podcast. This is the first one of the academic year. It is presented by The Contrarian. My name is Leo Saperstein. I'm the editor-in-chief of The Contrarian. I'm joined, as per usual, by the president of The Contrarian, Ben Sachs.
Hello, contrarians at home.
And we have a guest with us today, Riley Madden.
Well, I don't know if I'm happy to be here, but I've been cajoled to be here, and I'm here.
Well, we're happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, we have a lot to talk about. It's been a while since we've been on.
And this is our first video live recording.
Yes, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much. But, yeah, this is a new thing that we're trying out. And
we don't have a professional makeup team or anything, so
we don't.
Be nice
and
in the comments.
Yes, we're hoping it goes. We're hoping it goes well. One thing that we were eager to talk about was the update with the government shutdown, or no longer a government shutdown. It's been the government has been reopened. A vote passed the Senate, and it just passed the House with a handful of Democrats in the House voting for it as well.
Yeah, and I know we have you and I have differing opinions. I believe you as well. I think we're pro shutdown. You're pretty anti shutdown.
Well, no one is pro shutdown, for the sake of the shutdown. But I mean, we need to do some. No one wants a government shutdown. But when fascism is encroaching, you need.
Speak it to the mic.
When fascism is encroaching, you have to stand up to these people. You don't give in to them. You don't give them what they want. We don't. Give them all of their. We don't give up the only leverage that we have.
Yeah. So, fascism in what sense? Because you use that term. You use the term fascism, and I understand that a lot of people believe, and I think as well that Trump has some fascist tendencies from time to time. But in what sense here?
Ben, you want to?
Well, I think number one, I don't know if he's a strict fascist, but I think he definitely would be a fascist if he had the ability to, and I definitely think he's trying to take us down that road. I mean, the demonization of the press, the use of the military in the streets of our city. I mean, ignoring
as a personal police force.
Yeah, trying to ignore the court orders.
Okay.
Actually succeeding in ignoring court orders.
Ignoring many court orders.
Using government offices as his personal.
Going after his enemies with the DOJ, bypassing regular, because people will mention Biden, but Biden went through normal channels. Trump fired anybody who wouldn't prosecute and put in insurance lawyers who were his insurance lawyer to go in, who's never prosecuted a case, to prosecute his enemies.
I think one of the
intimidating freedom of the press. You mentioned.
There's many examples.
Yeah, I think one of the prime examples is a lot of people are concerned about the use of the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. And going after people,
I mean, they're like a paramilitary group.
He's turning them into his own, his, army. I don't want to use the term.
Oh, the Basij in Iran.
Yeah, I was going to use a Nazi example, but I'm not going to. But yeah, using him as his own personal police force, as you said, and that's the explicit goal. I mean, trying to go to war on Chicago in his own words. So. Going to war against the country and against other institutions of power, not respecting other institutions of power, like the courts or governors or Congress, and bypassing them, like he did with the penny, which is one of our topics of discussion. Yeah, that's a pretty tame way to bypass Congress, but I think we're still a democracy. I mean, we just had elections.
We are in an illiberal democracy right now. I think
we did have a handful of very important elections. I wanted to talk about that real quick. Where you're living, New York City.
Greatest city on earth. Come to communist New York. If you're listening at home, it's the greatest city.
It is the greatest. I agree, it's the greatest city.
You don't have the right to say that.
Well, what do you mean?
Westchester.
Oh, come on. I still I grew up in this. I grew up in the city.
Oh, really?
I grew up in the city. I grew up on the Upper West Side.
Until you were 2, and that's when your first memories
emerged.
Born
in New York. New York never leaves. Okay.
You never leave. You could take the boy out of New York, but you don't take the New York out of the boy.
Yeah.
So it's horrible. Terrible accent.
I thought it was pretty good.
No.
You can do a better one?
No bueno. I wouldn't try to do one.
You're pretty good with accents.
No, I mean.
Wait, I had an accent?
You're going to criticize him for his bad accent, but you're not going to attempt one of your
I had an accent there?
You were doing a New York accent, obviously.
I was?
A phony one.
Yeah.
You didn't even realize it, but you were
I didn't even realize.
doing one. Do it yourself.
Go ahead.
I don't venture to do accents that I don't think I could succeed at.
You then... Okay.
Okay, well,
let the record show that you're being a pussy, but it's okay.
Do you want to say that on the podcast?
Nonetheless, New York
yeah.
City elected Zohran Mamdani. He'll be the youngest mayor in that city's history.
No, the youngest in like 100 years.
Youngest in 100 years.
Really young one
the first Muslim mayor, and also one that has received a lot of controversy. A lot of people believe that he has a lot of baggage, a lot of a problematic background. So it is very interesting. He beat out former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who got about 42% of the vote, and Curtis Sliwa, the CEO and founder of the Guardian Angels, who got about 7% of the vote.
So I think it's important to mention that Mamdani got 50.4%. So even if all of the Sliwa votes went to Cuomo, assuming all else is the same, obviously, Who knows if Sliwa dropped out earlier, but then Mamdani would have still won with a majority. So
I think, Sliwa, I don't think, if Sliwa had dropped out, I don't think much would have changed. I think there were going to be people who were going to vote for Sliwa regardless.
Yeah.
And he was also the Republican nominee, so people are gonna vote Republican no matter what.
The head of the Republican Party endorsed Cuomo.
Yeah, I mean,
hates
sure.
Sliwa, so.
No, he's a joke. He's a frivolous person.
I mean, it seems I don't know much about him. I'd imagine he's just trying to get attention because he has no chance of winning. What's the point of running if you have no chance of winning? I mean, and also to take votes from someone who you're closer to ideologically. I mean, even Sliwa would probably agree he's closer ideologically to Cuomo than he is to Mamdani.
Mm-hmm.
So. He runs every year with no chance of winning. I think he's kind of loves the attention.
And Jesse Ventura.
Yeah,
he did the
but
same
Jesse
thing.
Ventura won.
He won. Didn't he become governor?
Yeah, he became
Yeah,
governor.
but before that, he was. I mean.
He won under the Reform Party too, right?
Yeah, I mean he ran I think like 4 times before.
Don't look at me. Look at the mic.
Okay.
So, I wanted to get you're the one living in New York City now. You're the only one living in New York City now. But I was wondering what you felt about. What you felt about this. You didn't vote for any of them.
So yeah, I was, and Riley can attest to this. I was, I voted for. So the primaries are ranked choice. So the person who I ranked number 1 was Brad Lander. Then I think I did Zelnor Murray number 2, and I all the way down Cuomo number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't give my vote to Mamdani. Technically, I voted for Cuomo in the primary because my vote would transfer because it was ranked choice voting. But Mamdani won, and then but then as things, after the election, Mamdani made some efforts to move to the center to walk back some of his views, which I think it's good that he's at least attempting to try to appeal more to the center. Yeah. And Cuomo I don't. Again, you can bring up the sexual harassment stuff, the elderly.
He just
homes.
didn't run a good campaign.
He ran a horrible campaign. He could easily won. He ran a horrible campaign.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a second of like what's unique about Mamdani's campaign. But I live in the city proper. I take the train and the bus every day. And someone like Cuomo who just took money from the MTA, who fought congestion pricing for a while. At least Mamdani, he. Who cares about helping, even though I don't agree with some of the policies, like on the free buses, at least his number one concern seems to be, after housing, public transport. And Cuomo doesn't care at all about that. In fact...
well, and affordability, which is something that, I mean, that's what people really care about.
But what are the policies that are going to bring it?
But, I mean, Derek Thompson wrote a really good article about this in The Atlantic, about how affordability is an issue that's very versatile, and you can have people running like Spanberger, who was the other one the other governor
in New Jersey. And Mikey
Cheryl, yeah.
And we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, they all ran campaigns that were essentially about affordability, even though they were framed in very different ways. Zoran was obviously further to the left, and then they had more moderate approaches to affordability, but still I think talking about affordability, talking about kitchen table issues, and I mean I think that's what Democrats really need to be doing. And I mean I think
Trump won on talking about affordability. He ran on talking about grocery prices, egg prices.
Of course,
that was
it didn't work out, but...
But then, again, the policies don't matter. And
well, he's got a few more years.
But it's a great messaging strategy. I think we need to stick to that instead of... I think, unfortunately, the democracy dying, that messaging doesn't work, even though it's correct.
And that's related to the shutdown as well.
But it also depends on who you talk to about that, because a lot of people will look at you when you talk about, oh, our democracy is dying and our democracy will die if Trump is elected. A lot of people are going to look at you and say, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but
they're too much of the sky falling.
That they're wrong, though.
The thing is, that's the thing, because I think what Mamdani proved is that elections are won in the modern social media age with slick, campaign videos, slogans, free and fast buses, quick slogans. I mean, Trump is great at the slogans.
Oh yeah,
MAGA. Obviously.
That's one thing that the Republicans do really well.
The Republicans do everything well. The Democrats are such a fucking joke of a party, and I'm a Democrat, and I'm ashamed to be a Democrat because we don't do shit.
Mamdani understands that, though. He understands this power of the slogans, the power of being charismatic. And
Zoran has got a fantastic comms staff. I think the speeches are great. I think the media strategy is great.
He goes on shows. He's on Jon Stewart. I didn't see Biden once, or Kamala was trying to. At the very end,
she wasn't good.
Democrats don't engage with new media.
Zoran's he's funny.
Come on this show, Democrat. If you want to.
I think at the end of the day, he's very charismatic.
Win 2 votes.
He's good with messaging.
Yeah,
he's good. Messaging. He's good with messaging, and his past, like Trump, his past doesn't really matter in the fact that is a very problematic past that Zoran has. Like Trump, but it doesn't matter when you're good at messaging like that. When you're good at messaging like that, it really you encapsulate people. Like you really do a very good job. And Cuomo in the general actually tried to emulate a lot of what Zoran did in his campaign. Yeah. The short and sweet videos, words flying at you, replying in social media.
Too late and not nearly as good.
Yeah, a day late.
You didn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very sad. Like, I wish people voted. I wish more people were policy wonks who voted. Like, they actually were thoughtful and they looked at the policy plans of different candidates and voted that way. But people don't vote that way.
I think a lot of people liked the policies, but they didn't understand what those policies meant, like the free busing. Like who's gonna pay for that?
And that's not exactly. That's not a policy. That is an idea. That's not a policy. A policy plan would mention how much money that's gonna be lost, how we're gonna pay for it. And that's what a real policy. Like Elizabeth Warren. I mean, she's left wing, but she was known for those huge policy.
Well, that's the thing. She knew what she was talking about. I think that was the difference between her and Bernie. Because Bernie didn't really talk about...
Bernie did have policy plans on his website. He had
policy plans, but he wasn't able to convey them well. Elizabend Warren was really able to convey them well.
But Bernie was way more popular and effective than Elizabeth Warren.
Because of the thought-terminating slogans. That's really what a campaign is run on now. It's run on quick ideas that,
But, yeah, I mean, if that's the world we live in, that's how campaigns have to adapt.
So, yeah, I think Democrats need to do that as well.
Speaking of which, the government shutdown had a lot of messaging from the Republicans and also the Democrats. At the end of the day, you had 8 Democrats who voted with the Republicans to reopen the government in the Senate, and then you also had a handful of Democrats in the House who also voted to reopen the government. The messaging with SNAP benefits and air traffic and people in the government not getting paid or versus getting paid, a lot of it was messaging.
Yeah, I think the core of the shutdown was not. See, the core of the shutdown is that Trump is being an authoritarian. He's not listening to Congress. He's not listening to the courts. Okay. We can't morally fund a government like this. But again,
and the health care.
Of course, that's what I'm getting to. So you can't run on that because you can't turn that into a quick slogan. Trump needs to listen to the courts.
People don't care about democracy. They don't care about rule of law.
I think people care about democracy.
Once Kamala started talking about saving democracy, that's when she fell off.
Talking about affordability and started talking about democracy.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but people are stupid and they don't care about democracy.
A lot of people were like,
so the Democrats instead started talking about affordability issues like health care.
Yes.
That is what they explicitly made the shutdown about. But internally, a lot of the talks were like, we have to stop Trump. We have to find a way to use the shutdown to take power away from Trump and give it back to the legislature.
And I think ultimately at the end of the day, that's a losing battle, because you have, like, I understand the leverage part of it, but you also have at the end of the day, like, also Thanksgiving's coming up. 1 in 5 children rely on food stamps. 1 in 8 adults rely on food stamps.
42 million people.
Yeah. That's
all right, but
that's
in the long,
that's a significant amount, and you're not going to have and.
In the long term, if we give in, to him, guess what? No more fucking food stamps. No more ACA. No more, like, anything that Trump doesn't like. I mean, I think we have to think long term. It's like, nobody, wants to have their flights canceled.
What was part of the New Deal? I understand that the New Deal is temporary, at least until January.
So here's what it basically is. So it basically funds not even the entire government. So it funds most agencies to January. So basically until holiday season ends.
Okay.
So there's a good chance we'll be in shutdown territory in a few months. But really what it was is a lot of the moderate Democrats were getting probably tons of calls about SNAP, and they caved in. But I think it's important to mention that Trump was just a few days ago arguing in front of the courts why he shouldn't have the courts direct required that he pay SNAP, and he was refusing.
Yeah.
So again,
and our courts are a fucking joke that have no legal legitimacy anymore.
I think a lot of the. And we're back.
We're back. Sorry, a little technical issue.
No, we're gonna cut through this.
Yeah, but it's obviously gonna look abrupt either way.
Yeah. We had some technical difficulties, so we are back now. And what were you saying before that? You were talking about the shutdown. So just keep going mid-sentence. There were
so that you can stitch it together.
That is gonna sound super awkward. You think I'm like an AI? I'm gonna be able to stitch it perfectly.
I edited a podcast, that's what I did.
Your podcast audio was horrible, but
maybe the mixing was wrong, but the cuts were good. What I was trying
to say was a lot of the folks who voted in a lot of the Democrats who voted to reopen the government are in vulnerable areas.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Maine, both people in New Hampshire.
Both people in New Hampshire. You have John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, and also in a swing state. And then you also have congressmen like Tom Suozzi and Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez who are in vulnerable districts. Granted, they're in Washington and New York alike, but as you and I know, Long Island.
That's
is
a pretty purple area.
That's a red area.
That's like Evans district, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're gonna get to the other elections, but that's one of the Long Island and their elections, unlike the rest of the country, did not really go that left. So
yeah.
But
they're a very red. They're a very red area. Like, I have family.
They were purple to very recently.
I have family. I have family on Long Island. They voted for Trump.
They were purple. That's an anecdotal example, but they were Long Island. But
nonetheless,
Eastern Long Island is always red.
Yeah.
Well, Western Long Island is purple. Often votes Democrat. I think they voted for Biden, but they voted for Trump. Versus Kamala. So it's like they're purple, but it seems like they're like the red wave that everyone was freaking out about during the midterms when Biden was still in office in 2022. The red wave, as we know, didn't really materialize except for Long Island. So the wave only hit Long Island.
Yeah, and so that's part of the variables that are that's one of the variables that goes into why these Democrats ended up voting to reopen the government, because you have people in those. Well, number one, you have people in those districts who rely on food stamps, and then you also have. These are districts that are not blue. These are districts that are not blue, and they got to make sure that they maintain their seats, and a lot of the time they're the only chance for them to hold on to those. There's the only chance for the Democrats to hold on to those seats.
Yeah, I think it's if that was the main reason and not because again they are more moderate because they're in these more purple areas, and it seems like they were never really on board with the shutdown in the first place because they're not as anti-Trump. But if they were really worried about re-election prospects, it doesn't make sense because Democrats just had a great night on election night. I know we've discussed this already.
But not on Long Island, though.
Not on Long Island, but Democrats won, I think in the first time in 25 years, Democrats just won a statewide race in Georgia.
Yeah.
It was to a minor position, but Democrats won in Georgia. Democrats won 2 seats in Mississippi, overturned the supermajority in Mississippi in their House.
That's big.
New Jersey, Kamala only won New Jersey by 1 point. New Jersey has become, or maybe 2 points.
I think it's like 2 points.
She got 51% of the vote.
Yeah,
I think Trump might have got.
Yeah,
so New Jersey has become purple.
Jack Ciattarelli was expected to make it competitive. Yeah. According to the polls, Mikey Sherrill didn't have that big of a lead, and it turned out to be like a 7-point victory.
Yeah, it was a blowout in what is now a purple state.
This is from the Times, by the way. That's why I'm checking the notification.
Okay. And of course, obviously, Glenn Youngkin is a Republican governor of Virginia, which is a swing state, though it has voted for Democrats since Bush.
Abigail Spanberger won. I like her a lot. So she won, beating out the Republican lieutenant governor as well. Yeah. So that was big. And then also Georgia and Mississippi. Mm-hmm. Those are big. Mississippi, I was not that aware. Mississippi, I was not that aware of, but that's huge.
I bring them up because they're examples of. So Democrats won in non-blue states. They won in non-purple states. They won in red states, and in the blue states and purple states where they did win, they won by large margins, which is a huge flip from 2024, where Democrats were losing huge margins even in blue states. Like obviously, every blue state trended red majorly in the 2024 election. So I think, however, again, this is a very minor midterm election. This isn't even a main midterm election, and Democrats tend to do better in midterms because Democrats tend to be more educated voters.
Midterms.
Well, I think normally the party that doesn't have the president does well in historically does better in the midterms.
Sorry, I keep talking, but that's an important thing to mention because Democrats did really well. They bucked the trend, and they did really well in the 2022 midterms. The polls are saying that they would lose tons of seats in the House and they'd lose the Senate. Democrats held on to the Senate, in fact, won some seats in the Senate, and they lost the House by a very small margin in 2022, which is why reporting shows that's one of the main reasons Biden stayed in. Because he's like, look how well we did in the midterms. The polls were wrong in the midterms. There were polls overestimated Republicans. I can stay in, I can win.
Interesting.
But that's, again, a false comparison because Democrats naturally do well in the midterms compared to general election, which has more lower propensity voters.
I wanted to go back to the government shutdown. I'm wondering how this will signify the midterms next year. How will this affect the polling? How will this affect the midterms going into 2026?
It says the Democrats are weak and feckless, and we don't stand up to power. And I think we need really aggressive leaders like Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, who will not put up with this shit if we're gonna have a chance of beating.
I did want to go back to the point of the idea, the problem of 42 million.
Trump blamed the election loss on the shutdown. They thought they were losing the shutdown. So I mean, that's just what they're all.
And I think the problem is at the end of the day, you have so many people. 1 in 5 kids relying on food stamps. 1 in 8 adults relying on food stamps. You have so many people.
The argument is that things will get worse if we give in to Trump now.
Yes, it's short-term pain for long-term gain.
I don't. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. You don't want to have You don't want politics to come at the expense of these people who need who need the benefits all the time.
But politics is about their benefits. Politics isn't like some abstract thing that's that's secondary to people's lives. Politics is about improving people's lives.
Yeah.
And we could be making people's lives more inconvenient now, and we could be causing them suffering, in fact, now, so that down the line they continue to have,
to piggyback on that,
rights to free expression and due process and rule of law and all the things that are being undermined now.
Democracy is the number one reason I voted for Kamala Harris. Like a lot of the anti-Trump Republicans did.
Yeah, I think same here as well.
That's not a winning issue. So I understand why people would be upset, but I just think democracy is more important than the food stamps issue. And I know that's not a winning argument to tell.
But I think also, I think it's not only the food stamps, but you also have
healthcare.
But you also have reports that airports are in disarray as well.
Yeah. And Trump's intentions.
But we're canceling flights. We're not letting people fly unsafely. And yeah, I mean, canceling flights, it's horrible. I've had to stay at the airport all day, and they put you on another flight. But I think that's worth.
Had to do that. I've had to do that once when I was flying home from Toronto.
Yeah, but
it's really. It's really annoying.
I'd rather have that than give in. I think the Republicans were losing ground, and we had some leverage, and we gave it up, and I think that's stupid.
Yeah, but I totally get your point, and that's why the moderates caved, because they're worried about that stuff, and yeah, people will start suffering. But one thing is, if Democrats don't end up making a deal on the healthcare subsidies, healthcare costs will go up, which ironically will be good for Democrats.
And I think in January, I think there's going to be another shutdown in January. I feel like open the government now. I feel like that's why I think open the government now. With the holidays with Thanksgiving coming up, with the holidays coming up,
is to put pressure, and that's the time where there's the most pressure.
Yeah, but I think open the government now and figure it out in January when everything is a little when things are not as dire, when the pressure isn't that.
Of course, and I relate because we have family flying in for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking to a professor who was saying he's happy the shutdown ended because obviously Thanksgiving stuff.
Of course.
You don't have family flying in for Thanksgiving.
You have family. I pointed at you.
No, I'm going home for Thanksgiving.
Oh, Christmas.
Yeah. Well,
Christmas.
Nonetheless, you're flying. Nonetheless, you're flying home.
Yes.
You're flying home.
Yeah, and I'm
home.
obviously happy that it will benefit me, but I care more about democracy than I care about my flight.
This is why I hate a presidential system and why I prefer the parliamentary system.
Agreed.
Political scientists have talked about this for a while. In a parliamentary system, there's one party in control, or there's one coalition in control, which means the people know who to blame.
Yeah.
In a presidential system where a president can be one party and Congress can be another, and there can also be a subset of Congress with
the House and the Senate can be split.
People don't know who to blame, so what happens is people just always blame the president. Bad things happened during Biden, it's Biden's fault. Inflation is Biden's fault. And this is why, even if it's a Democrat's fault, let's say hypothetically Democrats didn't like the health care, they wanted to stop health care spending, that would hurt Trump if they succeeded. Because people aren't going to care whose fault it is. If the health care spending, if these subsidies don't get passed in the next shutdown before election year, for election day, it will hurt Trump because people will look at their bills, because there's millions of people on the ACA, they will look at their healthcare bills and they'll hurt the president in power. And that's why also the midterms are a great time for the opposite party because people don't know who to blame, and people will always know if anything bad happens, they will blame Trump because Trump's president.
Yeah. So by that logic, it doesn't seem like this will hurt the Democrats that much.
I think that's why they should have held to their guns with the shutdown, because any pain, I think most people would blame Trump because Trump's the president. Trump himself in 2012 was tweeting out, if anything bad happens during the shutdown,
it doesn't seem like it'll make much of it doesn't seem like it'll make much of a difference if the government is open now versus later.
That is true, but the time where the pain will cause the most pain, I hate to say this, but it is during the holiday season.
Yeah, but
the most pressure on Republicans to give in on the health
the problem is here's my problem with that. Like, we could talk about leverage, we could talk about pressure all we want, but at the end of the day, these are the American people's lives that they're playing with.
American people's lives are going to be a lot worse if democracy is undermined. If you have a president
these are not abstract issues. These are not philosophical issues. These are things that
will
and already. Well,
well, that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, but it's an example of.
Our rights are already being encroached upon. I'm privileged and I'm pretty fine.
We have people they're trying to put people in prison under felonies for throwing sandwiches at people. Like, this is getting pretty absurd.
Yeah, we need to think about people's constitutional rights in the long term.
Where was this?
The sandwich thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a big story.
Yeah.
A man threw a sandwich at one of the National Guard people in D.C. as a protest, and they arrested him.
Yeah.
And
you can't do that.
Of course, you can't do that. But they arrested him.
You can't do that.
The Trump prosecutor tried to charge him under a felony and put him in prison for years.
Yes.
Except in a hugely rare case, the grand jury said no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So 2 grand juries said no. And by the way, grand juries always indict. Grand juries, we just had a class on courts in the law. Professor Mitchell said a grand jury will indict a sandwich if a prosecutor brought them. So, the fact that...
Yeah.
So, this is an example of a grand jury actually...
But they didn't indict this sandwich
They did
case.
not indict this sandwich.
Yes. So,
that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Much people have already made that joke, by the way, but it's a famous quote.
Not
that
original.
They wouldn't indict a ham sandwich. But, so this is an example of how they're weaponizing the courts.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going after
deporting
Letitia
people who
James.
write op-eds they don't like, telling the FCC to cancel shows they don't like.
Yeah,
I
obviously,
mean-
and just going after all these people that he doesn't like. You know,
Yeah, with
Using
Colbert
the
and
Department of
with
Justice
Colbert
to
and Kimmel, right?
investigate
Yeah.
Colbert,
political
yes, and
enemies.
Kimmel.
Colbert and Kimmel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although Kimmel's now back on.
Kimmel's
back on the
To
air.
Trump's dismay.
Because he got so much,
Yeah.
an international backlash that was just out.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Colbert will be off the air.
Colbert will
next
be off the
year.
air. I also the thing with Colbert is he was also losing viewership. He was also losing
all
viewership.
late
All
night
of it
is.
viewership.
All
The
late
point-
night is.
Late night is for status.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
as a network, it gives you status.
Yeah.
They always lose
I
money.
think with Colbert, I don't find him funny
Colbert
at
is the-
all. So.
No, I think
Colbert's the largest. it's
Colbert
the
is, I
largest
think,
late-night
very
show.
funny and a very deep guy. He does the best interviews. He does, he really has, profound, philosophical
Whatever, it doesn't
conversations
matter
with
if you find him
people.
funny. It's the fact that Trump
I think.
had put pressure on his friend, the Ellison family, to cancel his show, and that's why that happened.
Yeah, that's not even close to legal.
So-
and what Brendan Carr did.
And of course, Brendan Carr that's just reporting, and it's also obvious that the second that Trump's friend buys Paramount, Colbert
That's-
gets fired.
Yes.
But we
of course,
literally
that's
have
why,
Brendan Carr-
according to South Park, Brendan Carr has lost his freedom of speech.
which is funny, and it's
yes.
funny because
For
the
those of
South
you
Park
watching the
deal
new
went
season.
through before all this stuff with Trump, which
Mhm.
I don't think would have happened, because of how much they've been after Trump.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have Brendan Carr literally on a podcast saying, he's saying bad things we don't like about Charlie Kirk. We're gonna go after him.
Yeah,
And
we're
what
going to
happens
do this
next
the
is
easy
he
way or the
fires
hard
him.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
mob talk. It's
Yeah, I
literally
mean,
mob
this is the
boss.
mafia presidency, as has been much written about, and I think we have to prioritize it. We don't want people's limbs getting broken. I think because that's what we have to put up with in the long term.
So then,
If we
what's
give
next?
them, if we pay them their, what is it? You pay them and then they protect you. Theoretically,
Extortion?
yeah. If we give in
Extort-
now, then people's legs are going to get broken down the line.
Yeah.
So then, what's next
I
for
don't
the
know why you don't know how to
Democrats?
just face forward, but-
We're
Well,
getting
I'm-
Riley to face the mic.
I'm
Facing the
looking
mic.
at
Speaking to
all
the
right,
mic.
all
Don't
right.
Look at me. Look at him.
But what is
Okay.
Look at
what
his
is
handsome face.
what is next for
I
the
think you're
Democrats?
more handsome.
Oh, thank you. We're in a-
Sorry.
So yes.
Everyone knows that.
Well,
It's-
this is
for
airing
those of you who
internationally.
don't know, Ben and Riley are in a fantastic relationship.
Oh, yes,
We're
fantastic.
unofficially married.
But
Again, you're
going
not
back to
living-
Yes.
going back to my question, what is next for the Democrats?
I think people. All right, Zorhan has got lots of problems, but I think
Yes.
people who can message like him, who can run campaigns like him, who are charismatic, who are media savvy. I mean, I think the photo ops that he did are brilliant. Like taking the bus to the debate,
Yeah.
like brilliant. These things, halalflation, all of that. I mean, we need people like that and like Gavin Newsom who are funny, who
Gavin Newsom has his own podcast,
Yeah.
which is exactly what the Democrats
and
need
he
to do.
talks to
The
people
problem
on the right.
The thing is
They
with
need
the
to change
thing with
media
those
ecosystem
two.
to be more liberal.
Yeah, the thing with those two specifically,
Modern fireside
Zoran
chat.
and Zoran Mamdani and Gavin Newsom,
despite
is
having
that
very different, policy outlets.
very different policy, but they also both have troubling
That's always
troubling
true. Trump is the
pasts.
most troubling past, and he won. People don't care.
That's true.
Yeah,
But there's
yeah,
a
it
double
doesn't-
standard when it
it's not
comes. But
purity
there's a double
politics
standard when it comes to
anymore.
Democrats.
I think there's a double standard because our Democrats are lame.
Our
Because
Democrats are
you're-
so lame.
Because if you're Hillary Clinton, the most minor thing will sink you. If
Exactly.
you're boring skeleton. If you're funny like Trump or Mamdani or Gavin Newsom, and you go on podcasts and you have your own podcast, FDR did this with the fireside chats. If you do that, then people will look past your sour comments.
I mean, the Democrats are trying to find someone like
I
who's
wouldn't
like a
even say- it's not even
1950s
sour comments.
I mean, Trump has said some of the worst scandals. I mean, he's best
Yeah.
friends with, as the media
Well,
just
we have to
reported
talk
today,
about
That's
that.
true.
but-
That's
Best friends
true. Yeah,
with,
we've talked
sex
about.
trafficker
We've talked about.
has bragged about using his power over women to
Yes.
sexually
We've
victimize
talked
them.
about that ad nauseum today.
And he
Well,
won.
we have to.
So this tells you a lot. Like if you go on Joe Rogan like Trump did and you're funny, you will win anyway. And
Yeah.
Mamdani knows that. Gavin Newsom knows that. Gavin Newsom's trying to go on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Well, the Democrats
Kamala
are trying
Harris
to
tried to
find
go on Joe
someone
Rogan
who,
as well.
Last minute because people were in our camp were saying we're losing the media battle.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Rogan would have let her on, which is why we need to make our own Joe Rogan who will let Democrats come on
The
show.
Democrats need their own Joe Rogan.
Of course.
Who would that be,
Son
though?
Piker.
No.
Oh, definitely not him.
Who Mamdani,
Democrats are too smart to have someone like Joe Rogan.
That's a problem, man.
No, I think
that's a whole other conversation.
Democrats
that's a conversation
are
for another day. It's like
they're strategically stupid, but I think Democrats are
Don't
not.
touch the mic. You're gonna cause it to.
I mean, Joe Rogan is just like actually like a dumb person. I think he just is not smart. But no, I think Democrats are trying to find someone right now, like fucking.
Don't touch the mic. I just said that.
Jesus Christ, like Andy Bashir, or like
yeah. You know who I
no, I have a point.
Okay,
Finish.
yeah, all right, go ahead. Okay, go. All right, go ahead.
Like,
let's.
People like him, or who's the other one? Like Mark Kelly, who are like 1950s, perfect, squeaky clean candidates, who they're from, purple states, and they know how to get things done, and they're they don't have scandals, and these people are fucking boring. I mean, I saw Andy Bashir and Bill Maher, and he is so canned, and he's not a real person. And every word out of his mouth, and Bill Maher's making fun of him for it, every word out of his mouth is just non-responsive. Like, he can't really engage with people. And Gavin Newsom and Zorhan, I mean, they know how to do that.
Funny, they're charismatic.
Yeah.
They talk,
We need people like that, and they can have...
That don't
they can
sound
have
like politicians.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can have people who have, checkered past. I think it's not the 1950s anymore where we're going to drop a candidate because they... got electroshock therapy for depression. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But
or screams a little too loud.
Oh my God,
I mean, that is
Howard
such
Dean.
I can imagine that today.
For those of you who are
Howard Dean.
Howard Dean, the Dean scream. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. One guy I really like is Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro.
Yeah, I know you like him.
I like him.
For those of you,
he's middle. I would like
he's
to
middle
see
of
him
the
go
but
more
what I like
Gavin
he's in
Newsom.
middle of the road. He's
we
middle
need-
of the road, but he's also very charismatic and funny. Like to your point,
He's
Riley.
not as funny.
Here's the problem with him is I haven't seen him anywhere. Gavin Newsom is on shows. He's on podcasts. Mamdani is on national. He's on CNN all the time.
Josh Shapiro's probably worried because his house almost got burned down.
That's
He's like
true.
hiding in the shadows now. I mean, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
Out there because we live in a very unfortunate media environment for Democrats. So Democrats need to work extra hard to constantly just be like media performers. Like that's our politics nowadays.
Just be
Josh
out
Shapiro
there constantly.
needs a TikTok page.
Yes.
Like this is like that's what Democrats need.
We need to just be in people's faces. We need to just like get in their faces and not let people hear any less of us. I mean, we need to just we can't shut up. We need to just be constant. We need to be a nuisance.
Be in people's faces.
Yeah, we need to be a nuisance.
The Democrats need to be people's. Yes.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You set him up for that one. I gotta say.
I wasn't thinking
about
it.
You said Newsom at first. That's why I made that.
No, we need to be.
It sounds similar.
It sounds
very similar. Nuisance, Newsom. It kind of sounds.
All right, whatever. I'm
kind of
saying
sounds the same.
we need to just be out there constantly, media blitz. We need to be on podcasts. We need to be on late night. We need to be on TikTok, we need to be everywhere. And not just like Kamala hiding in the shadows, not doing media because she doesn't want to say the wrong thing.
I also don't think. I think also with the also what I worry with for the Democrats, I do worry about this. When it comes to somebody like Zohran Mamdani, the Republicans are going to have an absolute field day.
They've already said that they're going to make him the face of the Republican Party.
Exactly.
And guess what?
Exactly.
Democrats tried to do that. It was the Pied Piper strategy. Hillary Clinton wanted Trump to win so that she can claim all Democrats are like Trump and easily stomp over Republicans. So she wanted to claim all Republicans are like Trump. Yeah. It didn't work.
The problem is the Republicans are much better at messaging with
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So Republicans are going to... We need to become better at messaging, and we need charismatic people like Mamdani. Obviously, preference-wise,
I think also...
we do not want him
I think it would also help...
But
I think it would also help if you have somebody more middle of the road. Not a Mamdani, but more of a...
Newsom's pretty good at that.
I think that's true.
Newsom is a little bit more down the
Trump is not
down
middle
the middle.
road, but
He didn't used to be. I mean, when he was first elected, he was lieutenant governor.
San Francisco mayor.
No, he was when he was lieutenant governor, but he was much more moderate. I mean, when we elected him,
he's much more moderate. I don't really, I don't know too much about Gavin Newsom.
I mean, he's
which is maybe why I'm indifferent.
He was defined by he was defined by the French laundry scandal during COVID for a long time. We had really strict lockdowns under COVID, and he went to this fancy restaurant in San Francisco, and they had like a private, like Politico dinner, and that was a huge scandal for him. What
I don't want the chick on the table and hitting my guitar.
I gesticulate.
And for context, Riley is from California.
Yes, I am from Los Angeles. But, yeah, that was how he was known for a long time, even nationally. And I think he's done a really good job of beating that. And, like, I mean, people don't even know. Like,
They'll
they've
bring it
totally.
back up
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
runs.
Yes, of course they will. But, like, I think
I think they'll bring
he's
a lot of things back
rebranded
up. They'll
really
bring that
well.
up. They'll bring his affair up as well.
Yeah.
They bring up a lot of his more liberal policies.
People don't care. I mean, Trump literally, I mean, he had an affair with a porn star when his wife had a newborn. I mean, and nothing can hurt him.
Yeah, and I think that's because
He had and you know who his ex-wife was?
Yeah.
Who's now
of
with
course.
Donald Trump Jr.
Yes.
the point
I
is,
think
is
the
that
thing is,
Kimberly
Trump is not
Guilfoyle,
going to run in.
vile
Trump is
person.
not running. Trump's not going to
not
run in
according to
28.
him.
Yeah, he's not going to run in 28. That's
Really?
it's not going to
Not according
happen.
to him.
It's not going to
That's
happen.
number one.
That's
That's
not
another
what Steve
example of his
Bannon is
fascism.
saying.
That's not what Steve Bannon is saying. That's not what
Yeah.
Trump's own aides are saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
To the media.
I don't believe it.
They're saying
I
that
don't believe he's
even
going to.
we even have Republican people in Congress trying to pass bills to let him run again.
Yeah, but
No,
those
they're not
aren't
even
getting
saying
passed.
he's already
He's already
allowed
They
to
say
run
that too, and you need
because
to
you know you can. What is it that you?
He's not going to run in 2028. He's not going to run. That's just
We'll
not.
see.
It's not going to happen.
Every time people
It's
say
not
Trump
possible.
is too crazy to do that, he ends up doing
The
it.
Supreme Court has already basically nullified the Constitution
It's not
in saying that
consecutive.
rule of law doesn't exist
will
anymore
interpret
with
the
Trump
law.
versus U.S. So I think the Supreme Court
I think it's
can
either going to
interpret
be.
the
I think the
Constitution
nominee
in
is
just
either going to
such
be
bullshit
Vance or
ways.
Rubio.
Rubio.
It won't be. I don't know.
Why
It's probably
Rubio?
I think Rubio because he's the Secretary of State.
But I mean,
It's
is
either
he
going to
really
be
getting
him or
like?
it's either going to be him or Vance running. And right now, from what I've heard, Vance
Rubio
says
will
he's not
be
going
Vance
to.
in a primary. That's
Yeah.
Well,
not
right now
happening.
Vance says he doesn't feel that he's obligated to run, and so willing. So it seems like
It'll be
he's
Donald
willing to
Trump
clear
Jr.
the
will
way.
become a monarch.
It looks like he's gonna. It looks like he's gonna be willing to clear the way for Rubio.
I see. Well,
Rubio is
you
not going to get
listen, trust
traction.
Trump at his words.
Yeah.
Trump said he wasn't going to recognize the race if he lost, and what happened? He didn't recognize the
didn't
race as he
recognize the
lost,
race,
and then he
yeah.
also tried to do a coup
Yeah.
with fake electors and people at the Capitol and all these things. So
Yeah. Hence January 6th.
January 6th. So if Trump says something, he often means it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you got to give him credit for. So
That's-
much people were
yeah.
saying, "Oh, Trump is just saying he's gonna
A
not
taco?
recognize the reckonance if he loses." Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
these-
I
but
still don't believe he's gonna. I still don't believe he's gonna run in 2028.
We'll see, but
No,
that's why
I'd
we're
like to
marching towards
believe you.
fascism. I think because I think he will.
The fact that they're talking about it, the fact that Steve Bannon is on podcast right now saying like, well, it's already legal for Trump to run. I mean, we just have to, you know, reaffirm the proper interpretation of the Constitution. We have to, you know, make clear what the Constitution actually means, you know, so the public is properly educated about it. I mean, he's saying this stuff, he's making retrospective law, basically. You know, we just need to, you know, correct the record on what the Constitution says. And that's fucking fascism.
Right now,
That's
to set
fascist
the way for him
rhetoric.
to run again.
That's fascist rhetoric. Oh, the law is different now, but it always was that. That's making retrospective law, and that's fascism.
Yeah, I don't see.
QED.
Yeah, it does seem like he is. It's weird. Like it seemed like at one point he was trying, and then at another point he wasn't trying. He like gave it up, but it gave it up. So I'm not sure like which road to go down. I'm not sure which road to go down
We'll
here.
see. We can't predict the future. I mean, we tried
No,
to
we
predict the
can't.
future on this podcast, and we were horribly wrong. So.
Oh yeah, we were
On a left
terribly
election,
wrong.
But
No, I'm
Are you getting water?
Yeah.
But,
That's the one. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem.
So-
We predicted Harris to win, and we were
the
dead
truth
wrong.
Is deep down, I was worried Trump would win, but I didn't want to put that out into the world, so I predicted Kamala Harris. But
Superstitious.
but
I
was
think-
into
I think
election
that was
night,
all for-
I was saying that it's over.
I think
Worst
that
night
I
of my
think
life.
all three of us, you, me, and
Dissociating.
Jake, tried to like it was wishful thinking because we didn't want Trump to win.
Exactly.
Although at that point
I knew
was,
he
The
was gonna
writing
win.
on the wall from the
Yeah.
beginning.
I
That's
knew
the
he was
problem.
going to win.
I
Can
think
can
yeah.
you vouch for that I knew he was going to win?
You convinced me, and I was already believing that very early on.
Yeah.
like, that Trump was going to win.
I
I
was
just was coping.
Yeah,
He was literally dissociating like
I think
crazy.
it may have been Jake who was making the point like after we predicted that, like a week leading up to the election, we saw like all the comments on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter saying, "Let's go, like go Trump 2024, Trump's gonna win, Trump this, Trump that."
You mean like the shy Trump voters are coming out
Yeah.
of the woodworks?
Yeah,
that's a persistent theory.
Like all the comments about the election were a noun and a verb in Trump.
Yeah, Trump, and that's because Trump controls the media. Trump is huge. All the podcasters, all the TikTok, especially the manosphere people. I mean, there's definitely more of a right-wing bias, I think, in social media and the new media, everywhere except MSNBC and CNN, which only boomers watch. So
yeah.
Have you read about this great feminization article? It's kind of hot off the presses. It's gotten a lot of discourse. You heard about it. I spoke about it with you. This article's gone viral. It's all over Twitter. We argued about it briefly, Ben.
I thought that was the Ross Douthat thing.
Yeah, well, because she was on Ross Douthat's podcast. She wrote this article. Women are ruining the world. Oh my God. Because feminine values have encroached in business and entertainment and politics.
And was saying that the feminization of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem. And
that's the thing. Like the whole idea of we did talk about this. The idea of like the Republicans are the more masculine party, and that's why you have all the young men flocking to Trump.
And Carville, I think, is right that it's a messaging problem. We have to bring men back to the Democratic
Party.
But
this woman is like...
This woman is not that.
It's not... She's not saying it's a messaging problem. She's saying, like, there's something wrong with women being in positions of power. Women being in positions of power just, like, makes institutions weaker.
Great female leaders like Margaret Thatcher.
Yes.
Well, I'm not a fan of Thatcher, but,
I love Maggie.
Hillary was a great stateswoman.
Hillary was fantastic. I would have...
that goes without saying. It should go without saying.
I would have voted for Nikki Haley in a heartbeat.
Well,
yeah, I liked her too. In some ways, again, she acquiesces to Trump, so I hate her in that way.
Yeah.
She didn't get anything out of it.
It goes without saying that women. There are brilliant women.
If Nikki Haley had won the Republican nomination, I would have voted for her over Harris.
I think I would have probably still voted for Harris because I am more left wing than you, but I wouldn't have been so worried about the election at all.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley is not undemocratic. She's not a fascist.
Yeah.
So I would have been fine with her,
the point is that the right is getting increasingly reactionary, especially on social issues. And, it's just... Well, and, Pete Hegseth wants... he said he wants women out of the military. He wants to overturn the 19th Amendment. The right is just... unbelievably react, and even to the point of self-hatred.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You never know. Again, you keep saying that won't happen.
Have you heard? First, this is something you would like. First, they came for the Catholics, but I was not a Catholic. Yeah. Next, they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew. The Jews was the last.
The Jews was the second to last.
Then they came for me, and no one was there to speak
Let me look it up.
Yeah.
This is
a famous quote. It was
from I'm familiar with that one.
A Nazi supporter preacher in
he ended up
about it.
Yeah, that was. I'm very familiar with that quote.
Let her read it.
Yeah. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So, God, I just made up that it was Catholic. That was just Catholic wasn't even in it.
I think I was a Catholic preacher, and that is the example. He went after by...
Yeah.
He did go after the
I guess
so maybe I'm pretty sure that he was a Catholic. Look that up real quick.
I know he was...
So when he says then they came from me, that's the last one's the Catholic.
You're right. So no, he was Lutheran.
It was Lutheran.
Oh. So then I just totally made that up.
No, but it's true. They did. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
No one has perfect memory.
Except for Leo, of course. Leo's memories are infallible.
His head is like a metal trap of thoughts.
People do say I have a really good memory.
Yeah. You remember things from being 2.
Yeah.
It's been claimed.
That I
some might say.
Some might say. But people have told me I have a really good memory. People have People have
But
told
not
me that,
memories from
and I
jail.
could
That's
say that
awesome.
and I could say that for sure.
You think you could pass the mental acuity test
yeah,
that
I
Trump
don't know.
passed?
Man, woman, chair, TV. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
Man,
what it is?
woman, person.
Seriously.
man, woman, camera.
Just recently, he
person,
said he took an IQ
no,
test, but it was
it's
a dementia
person,
test.
woman, man, camera, TV.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That was
Look at your
beautiful.
memories. There you go.
That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm
And
wo-
you have the best words too, of course.
Yeah, he
Best
knows
best
words.
He's
He's
the
the best
he's a stable
words.
genius over here.
Nobody has better words than him.
Yeah.
By the way,
No one
if any
understands nuclear like I
if
do. I
anyone
guess
has
I'm
the
a
best
nuclear
words,
expert.
if anyone has the best words, it's me. I have a really good vocabulary.
true, you
That's
got a
something
good-
I'm very
That's true.
proud of. I
Yeah.
have a lot of insecurities,
Yeah.
but I think I have an
But you don't
excellent
know how to talk into the
vocabulary.
microphone,
I have an excellent vocabulary, though.
I keep increasing the volume of your mic to make up for it.
Yes. One thing another thing that I wanted to talk about was the penny seems to be going the way of the penny is going the way of the dodo. The mint has made the last pennies, and they are going
penny
away.
here.
It's over. It's going away. It's over. Truly, the end of an era. The penny is no longer going to be made.
Look at that. Look at that penny.
That's going to
This
become
is
a
gonna
collector's
be
item.
A collector's item one day. So hold on to this. In fact, this looks really old. It might even be like the older copper ones. That's just even more
Yeah.
valuable.
I mean, good. Let's not waste money printing
But
things
Leo, you
that
were against
make.
it earlier this
Well,
morning.
I don't think I wasn't gonna say I was against it. Like
No, get rid of
it's
me
a
on
little
this one.
weird. I think it's
No, I don't wanna see
funny
myself.
that
Do that.
it's funny that like people talked about getting rid of the penny for years.
Yeah.
That I know. I wouldn't say I'm like for it or against it. I didn't really understand it until we talked about it a little earlier. But it has become very expensive to create.
Well,
to
if
make
it's
the
more
pennies.
than
It
the
costs more
but I
than,
think
like,
the
we-
value of a penny, then
Yeah.
it
there's no
costs-
point in making
It
it.
costs like 4 cents to make a singular 1-cent penny.
Yeah,
So we actually
that's a problem.
lose 3 cents
And we
every
don't
time we make
use
it.
them. Nobody uses pennies.
Nobody uses them,
anymore.
but people use nickels very less. Now we're going to depend on the nickel.
So we don't
We
need
don't
nickels
depend-
either. Let's get rid of
Also,
nickels and
nickels
dimes. The
also
only thing
should-
we use is quarters.
Quarters.
That's all we
Sure.
should have.
So again,
It's
What
also
about
an,
everything going for $9.99 or $10.99?
well, here's the thing.
People
Matt, we
don't-
have credit cards now, but that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
the thing.
we have credit card. I was making a joke.
I hate the elderly people who pull out their change and look for change. We should again. It's a huge problem. We should again.
we
this
should
has
encourage
precedent.
people to
But
have like
We
flat
got rid of,
prices.
there used to be a
I-
half penny as well, which we got
Oh,
rid of
yeah.
in the late 1800s because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Inflation. So and that's the penny is, and the nickel too is also costs more to make than it's worth.
That's true.
And I really think I think 25 and other countries have done this. Australia got rid of their penny. I think the 1 cent euro might have even been gotten rid of, or maybe
Oh,
only some
shoot.
countries don't print it anymore. But
Yeah.
it's happened
I
before.
think
We got rid of the
what
$3.
I think the bigger impact that it's
Coin
going to
it.
have is, we use pennies in our vocabulary a lot, like pennies on the dollar, pennies for
And it'll
pennies
become
for,
cares?
It'll become
Pennies for
anachronistic.
your
People still will. It'll
people will
become-
still
We
do
use,
it.
yeah.
But imagine this: 50 years from now, some kid will be posting online. Why did we say 2 cents?
By
why did
2
we say a
cents.
thought for a
We have
penny?
lots
Penny for your
of
thought.
phrases
Yeah.
that come
Yeah.
from. We've lots of common idioms that
Oh,
come
yeah.
from terms that we don't use anymore, and
Yeah,
the idioms
we're taping
remain.
this podcast right now, but there's no tape anymore.
Yeah.
Kids will be
No
asking,
tape.
What does tape mean?
What is tape?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no tape anymore. There's
Back
no
when I
film
was-
that isn't shot on film anymore.
Back when I was your age, we had something called the penny.
Yeah.
And guess what? We've never used it. I never used a penny growing up.
That's
You
true.
can't spend pennies. No one is actually.
can't
counting
really
up their
spend
pennies.
pennies.
And it's,
Yeah.
it's,
Actually,
it's useless.
let me see how many pennies. I think I have pennies.
It just
in here.
sits in our couches.
Oh yeah,
let's-
I have a shit ton of pennies.
They're truly useless.
The one though, I think the one thing I'm gonna miss is when you go to when you go to a place or a museum or a site. You get to you could press pennies and turn it into a collector's item. I'm gonna miss that the most.
Yeah.
Well,
Little
I'm
things
definitely
like
as
that.
worried about that as I am about the disappearance of our constitutional
But
rights.
No, you don't have to
I'm
compare
not saying
everything
I'm
to
not
that.
saying I'm worried
No.
about. I'm
No,
not saying I'm worried
it's a
about it. I'm-
non-issue. Whatever.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a non-issue.
It's a
I'm
fun
gonna
thing.
say I'm
Well,
saying
it
I'm not
actually is
worried about it. I'm not saying I'm worried about it. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna miss it.
There
I
is an
understand
issue.
why we're doing it, but
Trump posted
I'm
on
gonna
Truth
miss it.
Social that he's getting rid of the penny, and then they no longer make pennies. But wait, what happened to Congress, who actually controls the mint? And actually, there's a law saying the executive branch has to make pennies.
Oh.
He circumvented Congress to do this.
Interesting.
So there is a constitutional aspect of it as well.
I've seen comments on social media saying anything to distract from the Epstein files.
You know, I actually hate that.
I hate it too, but the new Epstein files are actually crazy. They're actually insane.
Let's talk about
Trump
that.
has been accused of raping a 14-year-old girl, and he won. No one, like, if you want to...
But
Trump
now
is
it
not
seems
worried
like
about
Republicans
Epstein files.
actually care about it.
Let's talk about the
just on social media. It's a non-issue when people actually go to the ballot box.
But let's
people care about their own
I mean, the
financials.
Republicans are fighting a lot about whether or not to release these. I think it might actually get Democrats.
It will not make a difference. And anybody who constantly tries to be like,
Republicans,
this is a distraction from anything that's going on in the news. You're actually distracting from serious issues by bringing up the Epstein
I
files.
agree, but I think the new files that dropped yesterday are actually very
We already knew
egregious.
Trump was a rapist and a pedophile.
Let's talk about those. The Epstein files that were released by.
read all of them.
I was just looking.
Riley,
at
you have the scoop here.
No, I mean
Thanksgiving, right?
Jeffrey Epstein said Trump is the worst person I know.
Really?
He's the worst person I've ever met.
That makes Trump look good.
No, but
he said he's a. I mean, if Jeffrey, I read it the other way. If Jeffrey Epstein thinks he's awful, then, I mean, God, he must be really fucking awful.
But I think, he said that he emailed Ghislaine Maxwell that he was spending Thanksgiving with Trump and things like that. So it seems like they still had a relationship.
That was one of the things. He spent Thanksgiving with him back in 2018.
2018 or 17?
Back
when he was
in
president. When he was president.
Yes.
So, according to him and his emails that she did not know were going to go public to his partners, so I don't think he would be lying.
And he said, I mean, he knew about all this stuff. He was
Trump
hanging around with the girls.
With Jeffries?
Virginia
the one with Prince
Guthrie
Andrew.
or whatever. Yeah.
Virginia Guthrie that they...
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure she said that she doesn't know Trump. Actually, no. She said that she heard... I actually have to look at it. See, look this up real quick. Fact check me. I think Virginia mentioned that she heard she met Trump for a second, and Epstein said she's not for you. Type in "she's not for you" just real quick.
Interesting.
He's not. So this
in
is
the midst of
very
fact checking
podcast.
Yeah.
Don't click on a video.
I can't find it. No, I can't find anything.
Don't type in. I'll look it up real quick. And then
we're looking something up, but it's very It is very interesting because everybody on social media kept on saying to Trump, "Oh, what about the Epstein files? Release the Epstein files." And it looks like they're coming out slowly but surely, at least for now.
Maria Farmer.
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, apparently it confirmed that Prince Charles was with
They
her.
claim that there are hundreds of victims, and obviously most have not spoken out. So.
Yeah,
I mean. Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, but
I do think I guess I do think at the end of the day there are bigger issues than
I
releasing
agree.
the Epstein files.
I agree. It's absolutely being a distraction, and I don't like the everything is a distraction from the Epstein files because I think what Trump is actually doing politically is worse.
Not for the victims or for the country.
But it's not great. It's still upsetting. It's still horrible.
Because, and I was speaking with someone recently about this. Like,
I mean, this would sink anyone.
Just like if you're trying to fight a Trump supporter, just talk about Epstein. Talk about how he lied about Epstein and how he was friends with Epstein. It's like
because it's something that Republicans might kind of seem to care about a little. Yeah. So I think that's why they say that.
I think what you do, like one of the some of the things that I disagree with Trump, like when I would go at it. First I would go at it like saying his trade policy is terrible. Let's talk about his trade policy first. Let's talk about his economic policies. That'll get him.
Inflation with the tariffs.
Yeah, that'll get him.
That's what people care about. This Epstein stuff again, I think is a distraction for people online to make jokes.
It's the economy,
stupid. It doesn't get you anywhere because there's tons of people who I talk to who they say, "Oh, I know Trump is with Epstein, but so are the Democrats. They're corrupt too. I mean, Bill Clinton."
Yeah.
So you have to make the argument that what Trump is doing is so much worse than the corruption on the other side. I mean, Bill Clinton
that's true.
Yeah. And you have to argue that Kamala Harris was not with Epstein. Kamala Harris does not have any evidence of massive corruption like Trump does. You cannot because because people will always make that comparison. I'm going to vote for Trump because they're all rapists or whatever. They're all sexual deviants.
Yeah.
Like what the average QAnon person thinks. It's just so you have to you have to talk about policy issues that people care about in their day-to-day lives. The price of groceries, affordability, and that's why Mamdani is so good at messaging, and he is the future of the party. in messaging. At least.
Is he the future? Do you think he's the future of the party overall?
Well, we could talk about it. I'm sure most people at this school supports Mamdani,
Yeah.
but I mean, no.
I mean, he can never be president.
There is
so
an article from
that's-
there is
that's
an article
the
from the New York Times saying that he was not the future of the party, but Josh Shapiro was.
Again, Josh
Who
Shapiro
wrote
is
that?
not.
I forget
Brad
who wrote.
Stevens.
I forget who wrote that.
Josh
Shapiro is not as. Josh Shapiro is not on TikTok with these slick videos.
But I think a lot of people are still driven to. There's still a lot of people who are driven to him because he's very popular. He's very popular in the state of Pennsylvania. Very popular, and I think he is young. He is young-ish. He's charismatic. He is charismatic, and he is charismatic. He's also middle of the road. He speaks to people. He speaks to people like me who feel disenfranchised by the Democrats and the Republicans. I'm a registered Democrat, but I've been very upset by the direction of the Democratic Party.
We need someone who has the messaging of a populist, who is funny and charismatic and is on podcasts and has the policies though.
I think populism is why we're in this mess.
Yeah, but that's true. But you have to fight fire with fire, and I think so. A populist Democrat who's not far left, which is very rare to find.
Yeah.
But a populist Democrat who uses the messaging of a populist, because voters are stupid. Populists win elections, but with more pragmatic policies. And
I do have my concerns
ends
about
up running more pragmatically, which there's hints that he will, because he's been on Derek Thompson's podcast talking about the 2-stairwell rule and things like that. He's shown himself to be a.
I do hope he can. I do hope he can fully disavow a lot of his views in the past,
he's disavowed the globalized intifada, which is the worst one for me. He disavowed.
Yeah, that one is very bad.
That
also,
really bad.
Defunding the police.
He disavowed that one too.
Well, that was one of the Democrats' worst mistakes.
Yeah,
which
supporting defunding the police.
It did not help us at all.
Seizing the means of production, because I think he's still a communist deep down. But hopefully he'll run and.
That's the problem.
That's
the problem.
It doesn't matter who he is deep down.
The Republicans are going to run with that. The Republicans are going to run with that, and they'll have a field day with that.
Of course, Trump's already calling him a self-admitted communist, which he disavows. He says he's just a socialist, but obviously he's on DSA saying the ultimate goal is communism. But again, that's what socialism originally was. It's just a stepping stone to communism. He seems to be more of an old school socialist.
Yeah,
it's just a stepping
stone.
It
actually wasn't. The first socialists were like Robert Fourier.
Was that before Marx?
Yeah, in the early 1900s, there were Scottish and French and English socialists before Marx. And
that's how Marx conceived it. And he
well,
seems
then,
to be in that
for them, socialism was a stepping stone to syndicalism.
Yeah, of course, and then you can, and that's again.
I was a commie in high school, so I guess.
Yeah, she was a communist when I met her, by the way, but I indoctrinated her on how to be a liberal.
You opened her eyes.
I opened her eyes to the baseness of liberal democracy and open markets. But with social programs, welfare liberalism,
and that is, that in my mind is what being a progressive is, that sort of making sure everybody's accounted, Yeah, exactly. I think you have those types of progressives. I think like what Biden, I think of Biden.
But then you have. Again, I saw this tweet that was super viral that really pissed me off. It was after Mamdani won. It's like. Here's what it was. It was capitalists want 99% to suffer, but 1% to be wealthy. Communists want everyone to suffer equally, but socialists want everyone to live, like a good life or whatever. But that there can be inequality. But again, socialism means it's
when the government does stuff.
That's the Richard Wolff famous quote, making fun of what people think socialism is. Socialism is not when the government does stuff. That would be probably more like welfare liberalism.
Yeah.
Socialism is taking that and also giving workers more power with unions.
I think the best type of capitalism has some regulation.
Sorry, let me just
correct.
That's
the paradox of capitalism.
Back in the day, it's about worker control in the workplace. It's about workers getting control in the workplace.
Workplace democracy is the idea.
Workplace democracy.
That's what people say. We have political democracy. Why can't we have economic democracy? That's the argument.
What I'm against. But countries have experimented. Germany, the unions have seats on the boards, so they have some worker control.
Yeah.
And obviously unions are, an extent, a way to do that. But that's like the big difference between like a progressive.
We could talk.
And a
We could talk.
socialist.
We could talk. Like this is a whole. We could do a whole other episode about unions because I do have my gripes on my gripes with unions.
Me too.
Right, let me just say before we move on, I want to correct the record. I mixed up the names. I said Robert Fourier. That's not a person. I was mixing up the names of Scottish socialist Robert Owen and a French socialist Charles Fourier. So I wanted to just correct that for any socialist historians who are listening. I don't want to put out false information.
Fair enough.
All right, continue.
Yes.
That's very good.
Yeah,
This
very good.
podcast
Has
is
an unwavering dedication to truth and
That's what we stand for at the
factuality.
Contrarian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Truth, diversity of thought, platforming dissenting opinions, and just creating an ecosystem where everybody feels that they can have a say, they can have a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the overall idea of the Contrarian. That's why it was started, and that's why it's continued, and we hope to continue it for a long time.
What do you have to say? What do you have to say, Leo, about the Contrarians' controversial reputation at Connecticut College?
Okay,
Well,
real quick, we put out an article that's like super non-offensive, like disavowing a Nazi who's running in Maine, and yet the comments were freaking out. On Yik Yak.
Oh yeah. Let's talk briefly about Mr. Graham Plattner.
Oh yeah.
He is running for
because
Senate
they objected to
in
one
Maine.
line that you wrote.
Not even. They focus on that line too, but
They focus
Yik
on
Yaks
that.
were talk because progressives still stand by
Yes.
him.
For
Bernie
those-
Sanders has stood
Yes.
by him.
Yes.
Because what they think he just didn't know.
Yes,
Yeah.
but Bernie
But the
Sanders
problem
like,
is he did know.
the problem
Okay,
is
so then what's the defense?
the
if
defense
he did
is
know?
here's what Bernie said.
You know, he
what
made
matters
up for
more than a tattoo is the price of goods, and he's a progressive, and then he's running against a non-progressive. That's
Yeah.
what they care about, which I think is disgusting. But.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, number one, Graham Plattner is running in Maine for Senate, primarying against Governor Janet Mills, and then also running for Senate against Republican Susan Collins. And there's this
When's
whole
his
controversy.
race?
Next year, 26.
Okay.
Right now, I think Susan Collins is going to win. She's going to have an easy path to victory at this point.
Graham Platter has a Nazi tattoo, which he claimed he didn't know was a Nazi tattoo. He got in Croatia without knowing. But we have his Reddit account where he's joking about having it, and we have quotes from friends of his who says he calls it his Nazi tattoo.
We have overwhelming evidence that he knew it was Totenkopf.
Also, he calls himself a communist on his Reddit, but again, he calls himself a socialist now when he's running.
So they found the old. I assumed he deleted his Reddit.
He deleted it, so I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Politico. I think it was Politico. I could be gone wrong. They used Internet Archive. So a lot of his posts, because they were all deleted before he ran. So, but some of his more popular posts got archived by Internet Archive, and he has them where he talks. One of them where he talks about his Nazi tattoo.
I think it was Politico, and then other publications ran with it as well.
They use Internet Archive to find his deleted tweets. So
interesting.
I mean, his Reddit posts. So.
And also, I wanted to give some context for those of you who don't know what Yik Yak is. It is
for no one. Who's this context for?
For people who are not a con.
Are there people not a con who listen?
We have 600 viewers.
Who are they?
For also alum.
Probably not many this time because
for also alum.
You're yapping. But
Oh yeah.
for alum and for
Have you had
people
a
who are-
female guest before?
No,
Am I your first?
No,
so
we
I'm
haven't.
bringing in women.
basically,
Yes.
we got attacked for being misogynist, so you're our token female we brought on the podcast.
I'm happy to
Totally.
be token.
That's exactly how.
Well,
it
I'm not a
It's
token like
exactly
Helen
how it
Andrews,
happened.
who says women. I'm the only woman who should be in power.
Tokens
Yes.
get spent.
Yes. Touche.
I
But
come
for
up
those
with
of you who don't know what Yik Yak is, it's an anonymous platform. It's an anonymous platform, and colleges use it. It's an anonymous platform.
For college students can post to other college students on a message board.
Well, the colleges don't. I mean, the college wants
students
nothing
do.
to do with
Students
it.
use it.
Students
The colleges
post it.
have nothing
If
to do
you
with it.
recall, Victor Arcella sent us sent all the students
Yes.
an email to just tell them to stop
Yes.
using Yik
And
Yak.
I actually
Pretty
wrote-
pleased
I
with a
actually
cherry on
wrote
top.
Actually wrote an article.
Great article.
Thank you.
And by the way, you wrote an article on Graham Platter that we never released, which. Wait, no, we did.
No, we
release
did
it.
release
Yeah,
it.
that
What
was
the
the
article you didn't
article that-
release.
I was going to write something about Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk, you're right.
But it was not. the news cycle passed us, and it also wasn't my best work. So,
well, we disavowed the shooting.
we disavowed the shooting.
I don't think anyone thought that the Contrarian would be.
We disavow all forms of political violence.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm laughing, but obviously we do it. Just
yes,
we have no authority to stop anyone. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
she
sorry,
really,
what
she's had a pretty good couple months, Erica, hasn't she?
Oh yeah.
I think it's kind of.
I have not been following that at all.
It's comes off as pretty gross. She's really capitalized on his death to make herself like the replacement to him, and she's like with J.D. Vance.
Yeah. I mean, she seems, deeply in grief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but by any count of my seeings of things, no, I don't think.
Not a good. They're not good people, but of course, no one should be killed for
Anyway, what were we
speaking
saying?
out in public.
I forgot what I don't remember what I was saying.
If anybody who's still listening now, you're a saint with all the screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
I'm not to be invited back.
Do we have anything else to say?
No, we were talking about Graham Plattner. You wrote an article about Graham Plattner. Yik Yak. You were saying what Yik Yak was.
Yeah. I think we were gonna talk. We were talking a little bit about Graham Plattner, that race, and I think I think that's why the Democrats have a little bit of an issue with that if they're allowing those types of people to become a part of the party and become like being considered the future of the party. Even
there is such
that's
thing
a big
as
problem.
too big of a tent. I think we should have a big tent party, but the people who are like Ezra Klein has posted an article in the New York Times.
It should be medium sized.
It should be medium-sized tent. He said a big tent, and he literally I think there's my mom dying. I think we need.
And that was in response to the whole controversy with Zora Mamdani, not disavowing globalize the Intifada.
I think there is limits. I mean, I'm not saying we should kick him out of the party or whatever, but I mean, we should not be. I mean, he apologized for all that stuff, which is how he got those endorsements from Hochul and stuff.
Yeah.
He's governor of New York. But no, if someone like Graham Platter, who's has a Nazi tattoo, I think that's a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But I was asking you how you would respond to critics of the Contrarian.
Yeah. So I think in the past we've had a more conservative leaning. More conservative leaning. Our founders are, our founders Peter Cattuso and Ethan Sweeney.
Yes, President Emeritus.
President Emeritus and Editor-in-Chief Emeritus.
Maritai.
Great people, really great people, by the way.
Do they listen to this?
Friends. Yeah, they do.
All right.
They do. They read the articles. They're very much invested.
Yes.
And
well, if you listen, then
Contrarian Connuptions was the last one, right?
College Conniptions.
By the way,
their last podcast.
Both incredibly handsome, by the way.
That is true. Very handsome in very different ways.
Yes, very. I mean,
but
yeah.
In all seriousness,
hopefully they're not listening.
But in all seriousness, they are really.
Riley, this is a formal invitation to dinner from Riley.
But in all seriousness, they are really good people. I consider them good friends and
super eloquent, super smart.
Yes,
and we have big shoes to fill.
Yeah, but I think how I respond.
Who's going to take over? I mean, you're graduating.
Yeah,
you have that.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
We'll talk about that after.
We'll talk about that after. But how I respond to critics and people who think we're too conservative, leaning one way. I think we are a publication that wants to give a platform and a voice to dissenting opinions, to people who feel that they don't have any other place to share their opinions, write their opinions, share what they think. And in doing so, we hope to create, as we say, a healthy ecosystem of thoughts, a diversity of differing viewpoints, a diversity of thought, and I think that's what we do best here.
Can I play devil's advocate with you?
Go ahead.
Well, real quick before you do that, I wanted to say that I have disagreed with multiple points of many of the articles that we've published.
Yeah.
In fact, I've vehemently disagreed with many articles.
Yeah.
And
you still think they should be published?
I still think they should be published.
Yeah.
I think some people should have a voice, and people should consider these opposing ideas. I've enjoyed reading all the articles, even more than the ones I agree with, the ones I disagree with.
Yeah.
Or oftentimes I'll half agree or something.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. And I think one thing is we're the Contrarian, we're not the New York Times. I remember I saw Yik Yak post saying they never criticize Trump. They never talk about Epstein or something, which we do in the podcast, but
did-
we're not going to write
I
an
did-
article.
I
You're
did
not-
write-
you're not
I
reporting.
did write about.
You're not
I
reporting.
did write an article about Donald Trump's frivolous trade war.
I mean, it's open source to whoever
And
wants to.
You
say-
also wrote an article.
I
You also
wrote
an
a little
article for
piece,
us
a little
about
satire.
Bill
We don't do that
Maher.
often because everyone already agrees on campus. We're trying to come up with different ideas that will challenge people. So that's
our
the purpose
idea.
of this.
Our idea is like we want to put out articles and ideas that are differing from the consensus.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in doing so, we have differing viewpoints.
So you're-
And we love and we want the
make your devil's
engagement.
advocate claim now.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. No. But no. So I'm a big I'm free speech person. I think dissenting voices have deserve to be heard, obviously, within limits. So I'm curious. So is your philosophy as the editor in chief of the Contrarian? Is it like no censorship except?
No, we have some censorship.
We publish anything so long as that adheres to the community guidelines of Connecticut
which means
College.
No clear
Right.
hate speech.
Like
We're
no
not free
hate speech.
At least
Like
I'm not a free speech absolutist.
if you're gonna write something about like
genociding people
like
or explicit
So
hate
let me
speech.
if
Obviously,
someone
there's a gray area in there.
There's
but
a gray area.
There's some stuff that's obviously
we'll
hate
post,
speech.
like gray area, we'll. It depends, but we may go we may cross that line. Like here's the thing.
We'll teeter on that.
Like Jimmy Carr said, you never know where the line is until you cross it.
Yeah.
A big fan of Jimmy Carr.
the problem with him is.
What do you think about the Saudi Arabia stuff? We actually.
Well,
we'll talk about that.
okay. Well, I want to, but
that's a whole other.
Oh.
That's a whole other can
I
of
wanted
worms.
to ask you. I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Mr. Saperstein. I wanted this would never happen, but if someone submitted an article explaining why a defense of the claim that Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza, would you publish it?
I would.
100%.
All right,
would
on the
absolutely
record.
publish it.
On the
opinion,
record.
And we'd definitely publish
If
it.
you-
And we probably publish a response from one of our writers.
Yeah.
Agreeing. And that's called spirited debate. That's
Yeah,
called
so I think
free
it's.
speech, called
here's-
open
I'm
society.
glad
And
that
I'll
you
give
said
you
that
an
on
example
record
of
because
that.
now that's on record,
Yes.
If
and now you can
wanna
say that
write
to defend
an
yourself.
I will
answer
give you an
article,
example.
send it to us.
I'll give you an example on that. A few years ago, when the protests were happening against now former President Catherine Bergeron, somebody wrote an article called #MyPresident, defending
so
defending defending Catherine Bergeron, and one of the editors at the time, my good friend Peyton Lusk, wrote a response article saying disavowing that, saying what she did was bad, and we can bring about the change that we need. So this was an example of what we do, and what we want to do here at the Contrarian. Get differing viewpoints.
You fight speech you don't like with more speech.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Suppression, which is what Trump is trying to do. with
Yeah.
So I would say that is it fair to say the Contrarian is incidentally leaning conservative as opposed to having a conservative ideology?
All three of us are
Yes.
registered Democrats,
Jay Cassidy
more
was a
Yeah.
registered
liberal.
Democrat. Well, he still is. But
Yeah.
He still is.
not on the
But
podcast
yeah, but I think we are. I guess we have a bit more of a conservative leaning because we
That's
have
what's
more.
the minority voice. And,
That's
yeah.
the minority
Yes,
voice. That
yeah.
is the voice that is going against the consensus on most campuses in America.
Yeah, but I think it's
So-
I'm
If we were at Liberty University, we'd be super left wing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's good that you have it on record now. You can say submit your
Please
Marxist.
You're a Marxist rag and
You know what? We should clip that and post it as
Yeah.
well.
Submit your
Find a way to
manifestos.
do that.
we of
Submit your
course,
manifestos.
Submit the sequel to the Communist Manifesto right now. Finish Das Kapital Volume 2
Yes.
Yeah,
right now. Send it to us. We'll publish it.
But
yeah.
I think-
It's open
yeah.
to leftists.
Open to everybody,
Yeah.
and that's what we want to do.
Open to let's see. What if What if Ted
we also
Kaczynski?
published an
Ted
article that was
Kaczynski's dead, but
one second. We also published an article that was, in one sense, anti-free speech, and that's the part I really disagreed with the Skate series. Calling to end it. I very much disagree with that. I don't think we should end pro-Palestinian speeches on campus.
Yes.
But we publish it anyway because we're also going to publish people who will argue against free speech.
Yeah.
That's part of being open.
I absolutely, I agree with that.
If Ted Kaczynski came back from the dead and submitted the sequel to Industrial Revolution and Consequences.
Well, again, he's a terrorist.
Yeah.
So, no.
That's
I
all.
think that's crossing the
But
red
the
line.
Washington Post published it.
Wait, no. That
comment.
book was published before he was a terrorist.
No, they published that so that the FBI could find him. That was the deal they made.
No. We're an op-ed platform.
We're an op-ed platform. We
All
are
right,
an
fair enough.
opinion-based publication.
All right,
Please,
fair
FBI,
enough.
don't contact us.
We're more like what I like to say.
But if Ted Kaczynski thought he wanted to reach a very
Oh my
small audience,
I would call the FBI and
oh my
say
goodness.
we were given this, and the FBI would publish it themselves if they had some reason to find it. Obviously,
Sorry
the brother
to-
turned in.
Okay, I don't have any comment on that.
sorry, I'm against
If
Ted
Adolf Hitler
Kaczynski
rose
for the
from
record.
dead and published My Struggle Part 2. Would we publish that? The answer is obviously no.
No,
I think
the
there
answer
is
would
a hard
be no.
line.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm-
There
I'm,
is a line,
I'm
and
being
that would absolutely go against community the community guidelines. So
Yeah.
we couldn't do it anyway.
I'm pulling your chain a little, but
That's debate. That's what.
but yeah. So
That's
what do you
what
think
we're
of
doing.
Saudi Arabia
Saudi
festival?
Arabia, yeah, I really don't know much about it. I really wasn't following it.
Let's
I think
do a quick thing.
but I think we'll make this
Saudi
quick.
Arabia again is one of the most repressive societies on earth, and also an American ally, and same with all the Gulf states.
Yeah.
And they have tons of infinite oil wealth, so they use that money to buy up media companies, sports teams, create their own leagues, and they use their infinite oil wealth to, again, whitewash their image to Western audiences. And one of the biggest ways they just did it recently was by paying an absurd amount of money to a bunch of comedians to come to Saudi Arabia and do a comedy special there. And they got, obviously, like most things with Saudi Arabia, like Cristiano Ronaldo did when he joined the Saudi Arabian team, he was paid I think they offered Messi $1 billion. And same thing with the PGA Tour right now. Like, the PGA Tour does not have the money to compete. The people who say no are saying no either on moral grounds or also because they don't want to live in Saudi Arabia, like a super repressive dictatorship.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with Qatar, who again bought Trump a plane, and now we're getting a military base here. So like the Gulf states,
Qatar is a huge problem.
Of course, it's a huge problem. The Qatar Gate in the EU, they're buying politicians, so they use their money to subvert Western.
Then
countries.
also the social media, like on social media, the messaging war as well.
Huge. They must invest so much in bots because all the time on social media I see like ads for Dubai. They make it seem like this haven where they
ads
don't
for
actually
Dubai.
stop women, for not wearing a veil or whatever. Or Saudi Arabia where women couldn't drive until just a few years ago. So it's like. So, all these comedians went, including Jimmy Carr, and they all defended it, saying, like, in fact...
I was actually, I was at his show. He played at he was at the Terrytown Music Hall last week, and I went, and he did...
Well, that's right by you in Westchester, isn't it?
Yeah, that's in Westchester, where I live, about, like, across the county, but... Still very across the county, but also a really nice area, really nice venue.
It's a well-known theater,
This comedy show is
I've also seen Gordon Lightfoot and Art Garfunkel there.
Well, all right. First of all, Gordon Lightfoot, how was his voice? Because in the last 20 years, I think
his voice was okay.
Died, right?
It was
He died
his
a couple
voice
years
was
ago.
pretty horrible. I think for the last 20 years of his life.
Paul Simon.
Yes, that was the other thing I was going to say. But Lightfoot's voice.
It was okay.
Really, and he was pretty frail and also pretty weak.
I think at this point he was 80.
The thing is that like his voice. Well, some of them are better than others, but Lightfoot.
We just saw Bruce Springsteen.
McCartney's voice was great. I mean, Lightfoot had such a rich, velvety voice.
Yeah.
And then his, in his 80s, it's just totally creaky. You're too high. You need to go down an octave.
I thought that was pretty good.
No, you don't even know that song?
Of course I know that song. It's Lightfoot.
Yeah, what's it called?
The
Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yes.
The Wreck of the Edmund
Famous song.
Fitzgerald.
And also, why see Art Garfunkel?
Which is a 50. So this week is the 50-year anniversary.
Well, why see Art Garfunkel? Like, I mean,
because I like art. Because number one, Simon and Garfunkel.
Play their songs
yeah, you could see. Why would you see him when you could see Paul Simon?
Well,
Have you seen Paul Simon?
Paul Simon wasn't playing there. It was Art Garfunkel.
Have you seen Paul Simon?
I haven't seen Paul Simon.
I
but
mean,
I've
he's
seen
not
Art
that
Garfunkel.
good
Art Garfunkel
live,
was really
to be honest.
Art Garfunkel was really good live.
But he's
really
just like
liked
so
him.
lame compared to Paul.
Okay.
I
Anyway.
mean, Paul Simon was the genius.
Well,
Art Garfunkel,
obviously,
he
Paul
couldn't.
Simon also had a
He
great
was
solo.
nothing
Art
without
Garfunkel
Paul.
had Art Garfunkel had an amazing voice.
Yes, but he had no solo career. I mean,
Doesn't matter. He's not
It doesn't
making
matter.
new songs on the thing. I'd prefer to see Paul Simon because it's cooler. But if I had to
Well,
choose, I
and
would
Paul
still say
Simon has an
Yeah.
amazing
They'll
solo
play their
career.
songs.
Art Garfunkel came to Tarrytown and played. I was gonna see him.
Yeah.
I was gonna see him because I love Simon and Garfunkel. I love
I
Art
love
Garfunkel.
Simon and
I
Garfunkel,
think
too.
I think when a buddy and I put a band together, we kind of resembled. Looks wise, we resembled Simon and Garfunkel. I
You
looked
have a
more like
band?
Garfunkel. This was a number of years
Do
ago.
you have any recordings? Because we're gonna publish them and
Oh, my
start a
God.
contrarian music label.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, we were talking Saudi Arabia.
we were talking about Saudi.
See,
we were talking about
and
Saudi
Aziz
Arabia.
Ansari was like on Jimmy Kimmel or something, and he said, "Well, I was going I'm like the people who went to East Berlin, like Bruce Springsteen,
Yeah.
which is not true because this was put on by the royal family to whitewash their image to Western audiences and increase tourism, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's a totally different thing, and I think it's completely shameful, and it's funny because you have people like Bill Burr and this other comedian who were like, Saudi Arabia was like the best country. Bill Burr literally was like, this is one of the best. It was the best experience of my life. Their audience was the best audience I've ever had. Oh my God. Who's the comedian?
The comedian.
A black comedian.
Yeah,
Dave Chappelle?
and
Black Dave Chappelle.
yeah, Dave Chappelle.
He
Kevin
was-
Hart was there too, wasn't
Kevin
he?
Hart was there too.
Yeah.
That's why black wasn't enough. I was trying to think of, and then I had bald. So when black and bald, I'm getting specific enough. Yeah, but he made a joke.
Bald
saying
is
this
the
the best
distinction for
audience
Dave
I've
Chappelle.
ever had.
Short is the distinction for Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like these comedians not only did that, they also did propaganda for the state. And but Aziz Ansari said he was going to give all the money to Human Rights Watch, who refused to take the money.
Oh.
Said they wouldn't take his blood money.
Interesting.
Oh, might as well buy a yacht
So like
instead.
I think it's probably if I was in that position, you know what? It's funny. I don't know who said this, but another comedian who was invited said, "Yeah, I know it's wrong, but I can't."
It
I
was
gotta take
Tim
the bag."
Dillon, wasn't
Tim
it?
Dillon.
Yeah.
He said, I gotta take the bag. I know they like stone gay people there, but and they do slavery, which is true. They do slavery. I know they have slavery. Like in the UAE, I think 90% of the population are basically indentured servants from like India, but it's like insane. But because they have such a small population, so much money, but. He was like, yeah, I know they're evil, but I gotta take the money. I'm selfish. I know they, have slaves. And guess what? Saudi Arabia, they fired him. They didn't let him come to the thing.
Yeah.
So, but if more, I kind of respect that to an extent, just being honest about it.
Yeah.
But I just can't support someone like Jimmy Carr who would go there and do a show and actually like help the royal family and have the royal family in attendance and be like, oh, the royal family, they loved it. They were laughing the whole time.
Well, Jimmy Carr, I
enough.
think, can do it because he's so like he's just all one-liners.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't really like. I don't think there's any coherence to his sets.
What's funny is the funny
but-
sets were like, do you hate jury duty?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I told you
I
that
took
you're
that
just
from you.
repeating things
Like,
I've
they
told
don't
you.
have jury
That
duty
was
there.
Louis C.K.
They
That
don't
was
have democracy.
no Louis C.K.
They're doing their American.
His
success
set was
there.
complaining about jury duty and complaining about old ladies wearing short skirts and tank
Which
tops,
doesn't happen.
which doesn't happen in Saudi Arabia. So it just, this is a cultural clash of values that I think is just too
But
too
obviously,
vast and
When
expansive.
Springsteen went to East Germany, it was put on by the youth group there, the East German communists, and he made multiple comments during it attacking. I mean, him going there was a big reason. People say that
Yeah.
the wall came down. He went there and was not controlled by them. He wasn't doing propaganda and saying how great the performance was.
He
was
spoke
on
out.
stage speaking out against their regime and bringing in Western culture there. So he didn't just bring in Western culture. He also said that there's an incompatibility between what you have here and our culture. So if you want my music, you need, and that's a huge difference as well.
Yeah, he wasn't, and he was going there to play for
The regular audience.
young people, ordinary people instead
Not
of
for the royal
the royal
family.
family and their aristocratic
Oh my
friends.
God! Who was the woman who played for Gaddafi?
Oh my God.
Like I don't want to say it.
Uh,
J-Lo.
Yeah, J-Lo.
J-Lo was like for
Jennifer
Gaddafi.
Lopez.
Or no, maybe J-Lo did the dictator of Turkmenistan. Like that up.
Yeah.
But like again,
let's make
celebrities
sure of
who
that.
perform at like private parties for dictators, which is a common thing.
Yeah.
It's like you should be shamed, kicked out of Hollywood for doing that.
Mariah Carey.
Right.
And Beyonce.
Beyonce, who does she perform for?
She also performed for Gaddafi's son.
So who's
But she said she donated her $2 million fee to Haiti relief efforts. Lionel Richie, Usher.
Oh.
He pledged to donate the proceeds to human rights.
Yeah.
And what is wrong with these people? I guarantee they didn't donate the whole thing.
Yeah, Mariah also said she donated it to human rights.
For the bag.
It's for the bag. And then once
50 Cent, it doesn't say he donated to human rights.
This is AI, by the way, so this is unconfirmed.
Okay, yeah. All right.
But yeah, someone did for the dictator of Turkmenistan, who's like a horrible, one of the worst, like North Korea level dictator.
Yeah.
So it's just. Yeah. So yeah, I don't like Jimmy Carr, and that's a huge.
Fair enough.
Huge. Blanking the word. Anyway, huge detour from what we were talking about.
Fair enough. I forget, but I think we were
talking
about the contrarian. We were talking about the contrarian. And
I gave you the chance to defend yourself. And
I'm glad.
I think you should send out like an email and put out a statement saying something like that. Because you should say like we're not a right wing publication. We accept all voices.
You know what? That's a good idea, and hopefully we'll get some people.
What we should do is we should find that little clip on this podcast and make it. Yeah.
I'm pretty lazy. I think I'm not even. I might just upload the video like this.
No, I want you to fix it.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. Anyway, this podcast is an hour 30
let's,
already.
wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for
auditory torture session. I'm so sorry for the ear rape.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. This has been the Open Conversations podcast, and we will see you very soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Adios.